Behold, Zeus, the mighty king of the gods, the ruler of Olympus, the wielder of the thunderbolt, and the arbiter of justice. But how did this figure come to be? What stories lie hidden in the folds of time about the greatest god of the Greek pantheon? Our story begins in a time before Zeus, when the Titans ruled the cosmos. Cronus, the youngest of the Titans, had overthrown his father, Uranus, in a violent coup, claiming dominion over the universe. But Cronus's victory was overshadowed by a prophecy, one that foretold that his own child would one day overthrow him, just as he had overthrown Uranus. Terrified of the prophecy, Cronus took a horrifying precaution. As each of his children was born, he swallowed them whole, imprisoning them within his own body. Hestia, Hera, Demeter, Hades, and Poseidon, all consumed by their father in a desperate bid to thwart fate. But fate, as it often does, found a way. Rhea, the mother of these ill-fated children, could not bear to lose another. When her youngest, Zeus, was born, she devised a cunning plan. She hid Zeus in a cave on the island of Crete, far from Cronus's sight, and tricked her husband by offering him a stone wrapped in swaddling clothes, which he swallowed without a second thought. Raised in secret, Zeus grew strong, nourished by the milk of the divine goat Amalthea, and tutored by nymphs. As he matured, so did his resolve to confront his father and free his siblings from their terrible fate. With courage and a sense of justice burning within him, Zeus confronted Cronus. In a battle that shook the heavens, Zeus forced his father to regurgitate his siblings, who emerged fully grown and filled with the same desire for retribution. United, they waged war against the Titans in a cataclysmic conflict known as the Titanomachy. The Titanomachy was a war like no other. For 10 years, the Olympians, led by Zeus, clashed with the Titans in a struggle for control of the universe. The earth trembled, the seas roared, and the sky itself seemed to tear apart. But in the end, it was Zeus who triumphed. With his mighty thunderbolts, he struck down the Titans, imprisoning them in the depths of Tartarus, the darkest abyss of the underworld. With the Titans defeated, the world entered a new era, an era of the Olympian gods. Zeus, as the most powerful, was crowned their king. From his throne on Mount Olympus, he ruled over gods and mortals alike, his word law, and his will unchallenged. But Zeus's story doesn't end with his rise to power. His reign was marked by numerous myths, many of which revolve around his relationships, both divine and mortal. As the father of gods and men, Zeus's progeny included some of the most famous figures in Greek mythology. From Athena, born fully armed from his forehead, to Heracles, the greatest of heroes, Zeus's children were many, and his liaisons, both consensual and not, often led to jealousy, conflict, and tragedy. In art and iconography, Zeus is most often depicted as a regal, bearded figure, holding a thunderbolt, his signature weapon. His image embodies strength, authority, and wisdom. As the god of the sky, thunder, and lightning, Zeus was revered across the Greek world. Temples dedicated to him, such as the Great Temple of Zeus at Olympia, were centers of worship and pilgrimage, where the faithful would offer sacrifices and seek his favor. One of the most significant events associated with Zeus was the Olympic Games, held every 4 years in his honor. These games were more than just a display of physical prowess, they were a religious festival, a time when city-states set aside their differences to come together in peace, all under the watchful eye of Zeus. Victors were seen as favored by the king of the gods, and their triumphs were celebrated as acts of divine will. But Zeus was not without his flaws. His rule, while powerful, was also marked by moments of cruelty and capriciousness. The myths tell of his wrathful punishments, like the torment of Prometheus for giving fire to mankind, or the fate of Sisyphus, condemned to an eternity of futile labor. These stories serve as reminders of the consequences of defying the king of the gods, but they also reflect the complexities of his character. Zeus was not merely a distant, all-powerful deity, he was a god with passions, fears, and struggles, just like the mortals he ruled over. Zeus's legacy endures, not only in the myths that have been passed down through the ages, but also in the ruins of temples and statues that once stood in his honor. Though the world has changed, the stories of Zeus remind us of a time when gods walked the earth, wielding powers beyond comprehension, yet bound by the same emotions and desires that drive us all. The king of the gods may no longer rule from Mount Olympus, but his influence, his myths, and his lessons continue to shape our understanding of power, justice, and the divine. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the myth and majesty of Zeus. If you enjoyed this dive into ancient mythology, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest videos. Until next time, may the gods smile upon you.